You ever feel like the night itself is watching you? I grew up in a quiet rural town in Ohio, the kind where you can walk a mile and not pass a single car. My childhood house sat at the very end of a dead-end road, surrounded by woods so thick they felt like walls. It was beautiful in the daytime. At night, though, it was different. Like the trees themselves leaned in closer, whispering things you couldn't hear but could almost feel. This all happened the summer I turned 17. I had just gotten my license, and my parents trusted me enough to stay home alone for the weekend while they visited my aunt. I felt grown up, invincible. That Friday night, after binging some dumb horror movies, I decided to go for a drive, just to feel the warm summer air with the windows down. The clock on the dash read 12:17 a.m. I wasn't planning to go far, just a slow ride down the road and back. But when I reached the end, something caught my eye. At the edge of my headlights, just past where the pavement ended and gravel took over, there was a man standing. Dead still. Facing me. He was tall, impossibly tall, and he was wearing something old-fashioned. A black suit, maybe? It was hard to tell. The shadows clung to him like smoke. What I remember most, though, was the way he just stood there, like he had been waiting. I didn't stop. I didn't even slow down. I threw the car into reverse and backed all the way up the driveway so fast I almost took out our mailbox. My heart was pounding, but I kept telling myself, maybe it was just someone broken down. Maybe a drunk wandered out from town. I didn't really believe it. Deep down, I knew something was wrong with the night itself. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the house set my nerves on edge. I kept replaying it over and over in my mind, that figure standing there, stiff and waiting. I kept asking myself if maybe it was just a trick of the headlights, or my imagination playing games after all those horror movies. Around 2:30 a.m., I finally started to drift off. That's when I heard the first knock. It was soft, deliberate, like someone tapping with the pads of their fingers against the living room window. I froze. The living room was downstairs, just under my bedroom. My heart hammered so loud I was sure whoever it was could hear it. I laid there, paralyzed, straining my ears. A few seconds later, it came again. Tap. 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 Slow. Calm. Like whoever it was wasn't in a hurry at all. I should have called the cops. That's what any sane person would do. But instead I crept to the window by my bed and peered out into the night. Nothing. Just the thick, suffocating blackness of the woods across the road. The tapping continued downstairs, steady and patient. What if it's someone hurt? I thought. Someone who really needs help. Against every screaming instinct in my body, I grabbed the baseball bat from under my bed and crept downstairs. The tapping stopped the second my foot hit the bottom step. For a long, terrible moment, there was just silence. I held my breath. I could feel the stillness pressing against the walls of the house, thick like molasses. Then, from the window to my left, inches away, I heard something else. A long, wet breath, fogging up the glass. I didn't move. I couldn't. I stood there at the bottom of the stairs, clutching the bat so tight my fingers went numb. The only sound in the whole world was my own heartbeat roaring in my ears, and that slow, rattling breath steaming up the window pane. I don't know how long I stood there, 5 seconds, maybe 10. Long enough to feel my guts twisting themselves into a knot. Then something shifted. At first, I thought it was just a trick of my eyes. But no, as the condensation from the breath faded, a shape started to appear behind it. Pressed right up against the glass. A face. Except, it wasn't right. It wasn't just a regular person looking in. The features were too sharp, too exaggerated, like someone had stretched a human face a little too far. The mouth was slightly open, lips dry and cracked, and the eyes. God, the eyes. They were wide, way too wide, and gleaming. They didn't blink. They didn't even twitch. They just stared straight ahead, unblinking, as if they could see through the walls, right into me. I staggered backward, bumping into the hall table with a crash that sounded like a gunshot. I expected the face to flinch or pull away at the noise, but it didn't. It just stayed there, frozen, as if it had all the time in the world. That's when the doorknob started to turn. Slowly. So goddamn slowly. First a slight rattle, then the deliberate, casual twist of someone who already knew the door was unlocked. Except, it wasn't unlocked. I had locked it. I was sure of it. I checked it twice before I went upstairs. But that knob kept turning, grinding against the lock with a sickening, metallic whine. I backed down the hallway, keeping my eyes fixed on that door like it might explode inward at any second. My mind was screaming at me to run, to hide, to do something, but my body wouldn't cooperate. It was like being caught in a nightmare you can't wake up from. Then, all at once, the noise stopped. The knob snapped back into place with a harsh, angry clank. The face disappeared from the window as if sucked backward into the dark. For a few seconds the world was dead silent again. And then, from the back of the house, way beyond the kitchen, I heard the creak of the side door opening. The one I forgot to check. I didn't think. I just moved. I bolted toward the stairs, heart jackhammering in my chest, slipping on the smooth hardwood floor as I rounded the corner. I could already hear it, slow, heavy footsteps in the kitchen. No rush, no panic. Whoever, whatever, it wasn't scared of me. It moved with the lazy, inevitable confidence of a predator. I scrambled upstairs 2 at a time, nearly tripping, the bat still clenched uselessly in my fist. I dove into my bedroom, slammed the door, and twisted the lock. And then I just stood there in the dark, breathing so hard I thought I might pass out. Downstairs, the footsteps moved through the house, exploring. I could hear drawers being opened. Cabinets closed. The slow scrape of something heavy dragged across the floor. Not rushing. Never rushing. Like it knew exactly how much time it had. My mind raced through every option, every escape. Phone? Dead battery, classic rookie move. Windows? Second story, straight drop into thorn bushes and rock. Screaming? Nearest neighbor was a half-mile away, maybe more. I pressed my ear to the door, straining to hear. For a moment, there was nothing. Just my own breathing. And then, faintly, the sound of something wet hitting the floor. Drip. 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 Like a leaking faucet, but thicker. Slower. I was about to back away when something tapped on the door. Not knocked, tapped. A light, almost playful rapping with what sounded like a single finger. 3 sharp little taps, then silence. I stumbled back, almost falling over my own feet. My hands shook so bad I nearly dropped the bat. Then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I jumped so hard I yelped out loud, clamping a hand over my mouth immediately. I fumbled it out. No signal, of course. But there was a notification. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Just 3 words. Let me in. My mouth went dry. I looked at the message, then at the door, like maybe somehow the thing on the other side could see me. Another text popped up, almost instantly. Please! It's so cold out here. There was a photo attached. My house. My bedroom window. A silhouette, barely visible, standing right outside. Only the thing is, I was looking at my bedroom window, and there was nothing there. I didn't know what to do. Every instinct screamed stay put. Barricade the door. Hide. Don't move, don't breathe, don't even exist. But that tapping started again. Softer this time. Insistent. Like whatever was out there was getting impatient. The tapping stopped. For a second I thought maybe, whatever it was had given up. Moved on. I backed away from the door, each step careful and silent, my whole body tight with fear. I didn't even realize I was crying until I tasted salt on my lips. And then, from the other side of the door, it spoke. A voice, low, wet, almost gurgling, but unmistakably human. And it said my name. Not just mumbled it. Said it clearly. Correct pronunciation. The way my mom said it when she was mad. The way my best friend teased it when we were kids. Nathan. Another tap. "Nathan, open the door." I froze. No one outside this house should know my name. No one. I backed up until the backs of my knees hit the bed. I was about to make a break for the window, screw the thorns and rocks, when something clicked in my head. The voice. It didn't sound right. It was my mom's voice. Or, it was trying to be. But there was something wrong with it. Like it had heard her speak once and was now imitating her, like a recording played back through broken speakers. "Nathan, sweetie, open the door. I need your help." The words were right. But the tone was off. Flat. Hollow. Like whoever, whatever, was out there didn't understand what the words meant. Another photo popped up on my phone. This time, it was a picture of me. Taken from behind. Inside the room. My blood went cold. I spun around, but there was nothing there. Just the empty room, the dark window, the hum of the ceiling fan. No creak of floorboards, no shifting shadows. I turned back toward the door, and realized something. The tapping wasn't coming from the door anymore. It was coming from the closet. The closet door, which had been shut tight when I went to bed, was now cracked open just an inch, just enough for someone, or something, to watch me from the shadows. I didn't move. I barely breathed. Inside the dark gap I saw it. Not a face, no, worse. A hand? Pale. Thin. Fingers too long, too sharp. Gripping the doorframe from the inside. That's when it hit me. The thing at the window? The thing in the kitchen? A distraction. The real danger had been in the house all along. And it was still here. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just stood there, my mind frantically trying to catch up with my body's raw terror. The hand slowly withdrew into the darkness of the closet, like it wanted me to see it, wanted me to know it was there, and then the closet door creaked open a little wider. Not all the way. Just enough. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then something stepped out. I wish I could tell you it looked like a man. I wish I could lie and say it was a bear, or a crazy homeless guy, or anything human. But it wasn't. Not even close. It had a man's general shape, sure, arms, legs, a head sitting on top of shoulders. But everything about it was wrong. Too tall. Limbs too long, joints bending in slight, unnatural ways, like it wasn't used to wearing a human shape yet. Its skin was stretched thin, almost translucent, the veins underneath writhing like worms in oil. Its face, Jesus Christ, its face was like someone had tried to sculpt a person from memory, but had never actually seen one before. The eyes were placed just a little too far apart, the mouth stretched too wide, the teeth crooked and yellow, uneven sizes. And the smell, oh, the smell, was like rotting meat left out in the sun. Hot, sweet, gaggingly thick. It took a slow step forward, the floorboards creaking under its weight. Its head tilted slightly to one side, studying me. And then it smiled. A slow, losing, mocking smile. Like it knew how terrified I was. Like it liked it. Without thinking, I swung the bat. Hard. Full force. A perfect, desperate, teenage baseball swing aimed right at its disgusting, smiling face. The bat hit, and just stopped. It was like swinging into a wall of wet cement. No crack of bone, no satisfying crunch. Just this awful, dead thud. The creature didn't flinch. It didn't even blink. Instead, it opened its mouth, wide, so wide the corners of its lips cracked and bled, and let out a sound I will never forget. Not a scream. Not a growl. A laugh. But not human laughter. No joy, no humor. Just pure, mindless noise, a ragged, broken sound that drilled straight into my spine. I staggered back, dropping the bat. And that's when it spoke again. This time, it didn't use my mom's voice. It used mine. "Nathan," it whispered in my exact tone, my exact pitch. "Come closer." "Nathan." The thing's mouth barely moved, but the voice filled the room, slithering around the walls, inside my head. I stumbled backward until I hit the edge of the window. My hands scrabbled blindly at the lock. I didn't care any more about the thorns, the rocks, the drop. I just knew I had to get out. Now. The creature took another step toward me. Its arms dangled too low, elbows bending the wrong way, legs hitching forward in little jerks, like it was still figuring out how they worked. Its whole body ticked with tiny spasms, like an old clock winding down. Finally, I got the window unlocked. I shoved it open, the humid night air rushing in, thick and sticky. I threw one leg over the sill. But before I could move, I heard it again. "Nathan, wait!" And this time, it wasn't just my voice. There were others. Layered underneath. My dad. My sister. Friends I hadn't talked to in years. All of them, whispering my name in perfect, sweet, pleading tones. "Nathan, please don't leave us. Come back inside. Help us. You can't leave us here. It's so dark, Nathan, so cold." It hit me like a punch to the gut. Memories, Christmas mornings, 4th of July fireworks, backyard birthdays, all flooding my brain at once, triggered by those voices. For a split second I froze. And in that split second, it lunged. I caught it out of the corner of my eye, this blur of pale limbs and grasping hands, and I flung myself backward out the window. I didn't jump, I fell. The ground hit me like a car crash. Rocks tore into my side, my shoulder screamed in pain, but adrenaline numbed most of it. I scrambled to my feet, heart hammering, breath ragged. Behind me, from the open window, the thing leaned out, watching. Not chasing. Not screaming. Just watching. Its two wide grins slowly stretching, splitting, until the skin around its mouth tore and dark blood oozed down its chin. And then, it whispered something new. Something that made my blood freeze harder than anything else. "You already let me in, Nathan." I didn't wait to find out what it meant. I ran. I tore across the yard, feet slamming the earth, breath ripping in and out of my chest. I didn't even look back. I didn't want to know if it was following, or worse, if it didn't need to follow. I just ran. Into the woods. Into the dark. Into the deeper nightmare I didn't even know was waiting for me. The woods swallowed me whole. The second I crossed into the tree line, it was like stepping into another world. The air heavier, the darkness thicker, almost solid around me. Branches clawed at my arms and face. Roots grabbed at my ankles. But I didn't stop. Somewhere behind me, back at the house, I thought I heard the faint creak of the front door opening. Or maybe it was just the trees breathing. I didn't look back to check. I don't know how long I ran. Time got weird out there. It could have been 5 minutes, or an hour, or a whole damn night. At some point, gasping for air, I slowed down, ducked behind a fallen tree, heart slamming against my ribs so hard it hurt. I sat there, hugging my knees, trying to convince myself I'd gotten away. That thing, it couldn't find me out here. It couldn't. And that's when I heard my name again. Soft. Sweet. Coming from deeper in the woods. "Nathan." It wasn't the monster's voice this time. It was my sister's. Rachel. Except, Rachel had died 3 years ago. Car accident. I never even got to say goodbye. "Nathan, please help me." The voice whimpered from somewhere through the trees. I squeezed my eyes shut. This wasn't real. This wasn't real. But when I opened them again, I saw her. Standing about 20 feet away, just beyond a thick curtain of hanging vines. She looked exactly the way I remembered her. Wearing her favorite hoodie. Hair tied back in a messy bun. Barefoot, like she used to be all summer long. "Nathan," she said again, voice breaking. "I'm so scared. I'm lost." I almost moved toward her. Almost. But then, I noticed something. She wasn't breathing. Her chest didn't rise or fall. Her arms hung too stiffly at her sides. And her mouth. Her mouth stayed open even after she finished speaking, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. She wasn't Rachel. She wasn't even pretending very well anymore. I backed away slowly. And all at once, from every direction, dozens of voices began to rise up from the trees. All familiar. All wrong. "Nathan, it's me! Buddy, where've you been? Come back, we're waiting for you. Don't you love us anymore?" The woods weren't empty. They were full of them. Shadows moving between the trunks. Faces half glimpsed behind the leaves. Shapes dragging themselves closer. They weren't running. They didn't have to. I was already surrounded. I stood there, heart hammering, throat tight, turning in slow circles as the shadows closed in. They weren't fast. They didn't have to be. It was like they knew I was already dead, like they were just giving me a head start for fun. And somewhere, somehow I knew. If they touched me, just once, it was over. Not death. Something worse. I stumbled backward until my shoulders hit a tree trunk. I pressed myself against it, trying to make myself small, invisible. "Nathan!" The closest figure stepped forward, Rachel again, her head lolling slightly to one side, that open-mouthed smile too wide now, split up to her cheeks. "Come with us." Behind her, more shapes moved. Familiar faces twisted into wrong, melted grins. Friends, teachers, even random people from town, people I knew were alive. They kept calling me by name, voice after voice blending together into this horrible, desperate choir. And then, cutting through the noise like a knife, another voice spoke. Not one of them. Something else. Deep. Cold. Calm. "Nathan," it said from the darkness. "You don't have to run anymore." I don't know why, but I believed it. The voice wasn't pretending to be someone I loved. It wasn't lying. It was just offering. "Make the trade," it said. "Give it up. Give yourself up. And this can end." The world around me seemed to pause. The shadows stopped moving. The trees stopped breathing. Even the voices froze, mouths still open, mid-word. Waiting. For me. I didn't know what it meant by the trade. Not exactly. But somehow, in that deep, primal place inside, I knew. If I said yes, I wouldn't die. I wouldn't even feel pain. I'd just stop being me. Something else would wear my face. Something else would walk around inside my skin. And nobody would ever know. The voice spoke again, almost tender. "You're tired, Nathan. You're scared. It's not your fault. Just say yes." My hand twitched at my side. It would be so easy. So easy. Say yes. My mouth opened. I didn't even mean for it to. It was like my body was already giving up, already surrendering. The word was right there on the tip of my tongue. Yes. Just one tiny word, and it would all be over. The shapes in the woods leaned closer, their faces slack with hunger, their hands twitching eagerly at their sides. Waiting. Starving. The voice, that cold, steady voice, kept whispering in my ear. "Come on, Nathan. You don't have to hurt anymore. No more fear. No more loneliness. Just say it." I squeezed my eyes shut. Images flooded my mind, my mom laughing over burnt pancakes, my dad fixing the squeaky porch swing, my sister spraying me with the hose in the backyard. Little moments. Real moments. And I realized something. If I said yes, I wouldn't just lose myself. I would lose them. The real versions. The memories. Everything that made my life mine. The creature didn't just want my body, it wanted my story. My past. My whole existence. It would erase me like I had never been. Say it. Say it. Say it. The woods thundered with the demand, hundreds of voices, louder and louder, pounding against my skull like a migraine. I bit down so hard on my tongue I tasted blood. And somehow, through the roar in my head, I forced one broken word out. No. Everything went still. For one awful second, the woods held their breath. Then the things, all of them, screamed. A howl of pure rage, disappointment, hunger denied. The shadows surged forward, twisted and screaming, arms reaching. But they couldn't touch me. The trees seemed to close in, branches twisting, warping, forcing the creatures back. The ground trembled under my feet. A gust of wind, sharp and ice-cold, tore through the woods, ripping the voices away one by one until there was only silence. I collapsed to my knees. When I opened my eyes again, I was alone. No creatures. No voices. Just the woods, quiet and still and dark. The house, my house, was gone too. Vanished like it had never been there. I stumbled through the trees until, somehow, I found the road. I don't even remember walking. Just that eventually headlights blinded me, brakes squealed, and someone, a real, living someone, dragged me into the back of their truck and drove me to the hospital. They said they found me covered in scratches and bruises, dehydrated, half delirious. Said I'd been missing for 3 days. I don't remember much about those days. But sometimes, when I'm alone, in the dark, I hear it again. That voice. Waiting. Patient. Nathan. It whispers from the corner of the room. You'll say yes eventually.